Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name is Joey Weaver. He's Mike McDaniel. Mike, week 4 is in the books. We are live, youtube.com/at the ACC Football Podcast. How you doing? You want to talk about some games we saw today?
It's Joey's flu game.
Yeah. Not feeling great here. Not feeling too hot. A little under the weather. Somehow made it 5 weeks into a new daycare school year, and we're able to manage not getting sick until now, and now everyone in the house is a little bit under the weather. So we're playing through it, although you might see a bit of an abbreviated show tonight. That's on the table.
We'll do our best.
We will. Mike, as mentioned, we got 12 games here. It was a lengthy slate of games and a lot of I thought a lot of weird stuff. And honestly, this is where I hate feeling bad and potential abbreviated shows. There's a lot to talk about here from this week's games. So we're going to get into that. As mentioned, we are live right now at youtube.com/at the ACC Football Podcast. We got some folks in the chat with us. Appreciate them staying up late with us, hanging out and joining in the discussion. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon. We are working our way towards 500 subscribers. We are coming up on that really quickly. Really appreciate your all's help with that. Hitting that subscribe button, hitting the bell icon will tell you when we are going to go live. You can come join us in the chat if you are not able to be with us tonight. So please do that. We would really appreciate your help with that. Mike, Scott, anything else before we work on our rapid recap here?
I'm good.
Scott, we good? Do we have 10 minutes on the clock?
And
there we go. There it is. All right. Good deal. All right, Mike, if you're ready, in 3, 2, 1, in whatever order ESPN has them on, Stanford 26, Syracuse 24. Stanford gets their first ACC win. That was good. Syracuse had some tough moments here.
Alec Iamane, catch of the year in the first half, catch of the year candidate at the very least, the touchdown catch, and then had a crucial catch as Stanford was driving down to kick the game-winning field goal. Some questionable coaching stuff here from Syracuse, head-scratching stuff. The decision to go man-to-man against a guy who's going to be catching passes on Sundays was a bold move when you're clinging to a late-game lead. So I have some questions about Fran Brown here, but overall, the turnovers from Syracuse were brutal. Yeah. Stanford had a couple bad ones as well. That's kind of part of the Ashton Daniels experience. But yeah, this was a really impressive win from Stanford. Defensively, I was really surprised at how they shut down Syracuse running game. Syracuse's total inability to run the ball was pretty surprising. But yeah. Overall, Stanford, well coached. So a little bit of force.
Yep. Yeah. And it just very much feels like a missed opportunity for Syracuse here.
I'll say. Yeah.
Yep. Miami 50, USF 15. A game that USF was game, up until shortly before halftime, and then in the second half, Miami just puts their foot down and took control completely.
Miami hit the gas in the second half. That was pretty much it. South Florida, they were game, and they do have a nice team, but Miami's this is a different Miami team this year.
Miami also had a really bad time running the ball in this game, but it seems like it doesn't really matter right now because Cam Ward is just lighting up defenses in the passing game.
That's why they're different this year. They have a quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. Louisville 31, Georgia Tech 19. A game that I said Louisville was going to win by double digits, and they did, and yet I'm still disappointed, Mike.
The defense from Georgia Tech was iffy, and the team speed from Louisville, good. They're really fast. The other thing, too, is, we're starting to see some of the special teams things, rearing their ugly head with Georgia Tech, and we're seeing that with Virginia Tech as well. There's something in the water there with the Tech schools this year and special teams.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it, but I kind of come away from this game feeling a little bit worse about both teams. It was not. I was not encouraged by either side here. Odd game. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Number 21, Clemson 59, NC State 35. Mike, we need to have a conversation about NC State.
Yeah, we do. By the way, Clemson, I think you're on the watch to be on the wagon watch if that makes sense. I texted you guys that early in the game.
Watch list for the watch list?
The watch list for the watch list. But, yeah, things are looking a little better. I mean, Joey, they went 66-59 in 2 consecutive games. I mean, I know that you can adjust for opponent all you want. They just hung 59 on a decent defense.
Well, we'll talk about that too. I mean,
last week I thought they were a decent defense. I thought they were a decent defense. Maybe not.
Well, we thought so.
Maybe not.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Very much impressive from Clemson. I mean, again, like this is probably the biggest 2 week output that we've seen from them on offense
since the playoff team.
At least since Trevor Lawrence left, I mean, this is so maybe there is something to it, and it's year 2, Garrett Riley, Cade Klubnik. Like maybe we're rounded into form here, but
it's better than last year. I guess we can agree on.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
but also a team that just like couldn't move the ball at all in the first game of the year. So like again, opponent adjustments and all that, but yeah, we'll come back and talk about that one as well. James Madison 70, North Carolina 50 in an
bang, you're dead.
Absolute Jeff Collins special here. I mean, now there were a lot of different ways that JMU managed to score in this game, but certainly North Carolina's defense had nothing for this. And Mac Brown is retired. Just kidding. No, he's not. Maybe, but we'll see.
He was thinking about it, according to Inside Carolina, and then Chris Lowe from ESPN, very good reporter, said, he got a hold of Mac, and Mac was like, no, I'll be working Sunday. Whatever. I mean, I'd be thinking about retiring, too, if I gave up 70 to that James Madison team. That was ugly today.
I don't think that would be so bad for UNC.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was quite the afternoon in Chapel Hill. So, not ideal. Virginia 43, Coastal Carolina 24, a game that Virginia ran for almost 400 yards. I felt like this had a chance to be a dangerous spot for them, and it was never really all that close. Virginia did a nice job taking care of business here.
They're competent. I think Virginia's competent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. That's fair. Rutgers 26, Virginia Tech 23. Mike, what do you have to say for yourself?
I'm not defending this team at all, man. Coaching staff is, Pry is paying the price for hiring 2 first-time coordinators. I wouldn't do that next time.
2 out of conference. Not how you drew that up.
By the way, they haven't won a non-con, a P5 non-con home game since 2009. So
that's like the most impossible stat.
That's 15 years. That's 15 years since they've won a non-con P5 home game. 15 years.
That's nuts. So. Absolutely nuts. Pitt 73, Youngstown State 17. Pitt emphatically gets to 4-0 out of conference for the first time in program history. #Hail to Pitt.
Did not watch it. Speaking of games I didn't watch, Duke 45, Middle Tennessee 17. Joey, I told you. There was a weather delay here.
Yeah, I watched a couple plays of this by accident. I was actually looking for the end of the Kansas-West Virginia game, and it had been on ESPNU, but also a weather delay. And so stumbled upon this and then tried to find where that game was being played and moved on. But Duke, going on the road, taking care of business like this, and that's not the easy thing to do. Duke's 4-0?
Worst 4-0 team in the country? No?
I mean, they also managed more than 26 points in this game, so shout out to Duke for that. So
that's true. That is true. Almost double their output there.
SMU 66, TCU 42. CW underdogs strike again, and the Ponies got the iron skillet, Mike.
Speaking of games that were never really competitive, right?
Yeah.
Never really competitive. I mean, jumped out to a 17-0 lead here, and the offense was aplenty. Sonny Dykes picked up 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties and was ejected at the beginning of the third quarter of this game. So it didn't really matter. They were getting dogged here. But, TCU was without a coach for the second half. So
yeah. SMU also +4 in turnovers here, which always helps.
It does.
So that's part of how you get some margin.
Yeah.
Florida State 14, Cal 9 in a game that set football back a little bit. But hey, Florida State's on the board.
They're on the board, surprisingly. Actually, I texted you guys the first quarter. Florida State scored that touchdown, and I was like, they're looking competent. And they did look competent for the first 7 minutes. Played good complementary football, and then didn't really do that the rest of the game. So decent defensive effort, though.
They got in the end zone on the script drive to start the game, and then on a long pass from DJU that was probably his best pass of the year so far.
Yeah,
and
great throw.
That was all they needed.
Yeah.
Cal's offense had a bad time in this game against potentially improved Florida State defense.
I thought it was a much better effort by the defense tonight.
Yeah, looked good. Last one, Boston College 23, Michigan State 19. Boston College wins the red bandana game. I mean, good on Boston College for getting this win. I really felt like they missed some opportunities to kind of break this one open a little bit. So one that was a little tougher than maybe it had to be.
The weather was total ass here. It was so bad. The big thing I take away from this is Boston College was having a really, really hard time running the ball with people not named Thomas Castellanos. So he was it was a team on your back situation here. A really nice late touchdown pass he threw. And then, of course, a late interception defensively to ice it. But, yeah, really nice win for BC. I mean, we were texting in the fourth quarter of this game, and it was looking dicey for Boston College. To be able to kind of get that separation the last, six or so minutes of the game was pretty crucial.
Yep. And because we have 30 seconds left, Texas A&M 26, Bowling Green 20, in the game that the Falcons went into Kyle Field and made Texas A&M earn it. So shout out to them.
It was great for my Bowling Green agenda because they were in pretty good shape. They actually had a field goal late third quarter. They were down by 3. They had a short field goal that they missed that would have tied the game and put a little bit of pressure on A&M. Ended up being a 26-20 game anyway. So
there you go. At the buzzer. Love that. 10-minute rapid recap brought to you by Section103.com, the internet's premier place for all things wonderful Georgia Tech apparel. They have T-shirts, they got sweatshirts, they got hoodies, they got things for men, women, children, babies, something for the whole family. Every Georgia Tech fan in your life, they need something from Section103.com. Use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order. Go get some of those NIL shirts, help support those efforts and those players. They got things supporting the basketball team. If you're ready to get ready for winter sports after today's game, you can go find things for the baseball team, the volleyball team. They're also playing right now, so you can probably go support them. Lots of great things, lots of new things coming out all the time at Section103.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order. They've got all the official word marks, all the official Tech Gold. It is the best place on the internet to find great Georgia Tech apparel. So go do that one more time. Go ACC at checkout at Section103.com for 10% off your first order. Shout out to Steven and the gang for their support. Really appreciate it. Yet again, they have been a great partner of ours for this podcast, Mike.
They have been. They've been fantastic. So we appreciate their support.
Absolutely. Where do we want to start here, Mike?
There's only one place to start. JMU 70, North Carolina 50.
Goodness.
I mean, buddy, this was 53-21 at halftime.
Yeah.
It's just.
I think JMU racked up 400. They had over 400 yards of offense in the first half.
Yeah. Just pathetic effort by Carolina. Yeah. I mean, I did not go into this game thinking that Carolina would lose. But B, that the defense would be that horrendous. I mean, it's really hard to imagine.
2 pick sixes.
2 pick sixes for sure.
Still 50 points.
And still 50. Yeah. It's just really, to me, it's really hard to envision a situation going into this game where I could see James Madison scoring 70 points. I mean, that was not even in the realm of possibility. It's the path would have been.
You remember what we said about James in the preview, right?
Yeah, that they're
are
not
2
the same
weeks.
team.
They are 2 weeks removed, Mike, from being shut out in the first half and only scoring 13 points the entire game against Gardner-Webb. They scored 13 points in an entire game against an FCS defense, and then they go into Chapel Hill and hang 70 on North Carolina.
It's crazy. if Carolina was going to lose this game, I thought going into it would be because they would have struggles on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, what if I told you Amari and Hampton had 19 for 139 and 3 touchdowns, and Jacoby Criswell threw for almost 500 yards and had 3 touchdown passes? What if I told you that and that they scored 50 points?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that was an easy day in the office, right? That they just kind of cruised to victory.
Evan Sandage has a good point here that I want to bring up, and this is like key to just the entire discussion. It looks like JMU called off the Dogs in like third quarter. Yes, yes, agree. And also, like, if you're Carolina, just in general, how do you let this happen? Like, this is Chiswick wouldn't even let this happen. Like, this is crazy. This is
lack of pride stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I will say, keep it. So one of the things I'm gonna call this out now, but there's like I don't know what was going around this league today, but I think in almost at least half of these games featured at least one score on defense or special teams. Like, so North Carolina's defense did not allow 70 points.
Yeah.
North Carolina's defense allowed a lot of points, but there was also a blocked punt that was turned into a touchdown. There was a pick six right before halftime that JMU scored on. So that's, 7 for the defense, 7 for the special teams. And part of this, too, is that North Carolina turned the ball over 5 times. So that really doesn't help in a game where you're chasing it the whole way.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm distracted because BYU is now up 31-6 on Kansas State. They just ran a fumble back.
What is Kansas State doing?
They're getting blown the fuck out at Provo. My God.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I mean, this was just a total debacle by UNC here. Just pathetic.
From reading about the Mac Brown situation, it sounds like he told the team, like, I'll do whatever it takes to help this program, even if it means retiring or something like that. And I get the impression that a couple people took a couple liberties and kind of ran with that and heard him say the word retiring and that, maybe, he's retiring. Okay. Yeah. And so, Twitter got real hot there for like an hour or two that
it did. Yeah.
Mac might be retiring. Now they're saying he's not. I definitely had the thought when I heard that was like, is this like this game, especially if he does this like tomorrow, is this game the way that one of the winningest coaches of all time and a guy with a national title trophy, he played for, like, is this the way he's going to go out? Like,
yeah,
so I don't know. We'll see. I think it does tell me at least a little bit that he's considering it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but I would not be stunned if this happens in November or something like that.
When Frank Beamer retired, I think it was announced in late October.
Sounds right. Yeah, they played 4 or 5 games knowing that he was going to be on his way out.
And it wasn't like going swell. It was like, I think I could see something similar here with Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Interim head coach Jeff Collins. Thank you, Jackson, for speaking that into existence.
That's the real key here. Is we need Mac to retire so we can get 6 games of head coach Jeff Collins again. I don't know if they would actually do it, but it would. Man, the content would be just pristine, Mike. It would be so good.
I'm ready for the UNC equivalent of the above the line.
Yeah,
on the depth chart. Ready for whatever that is.
Yeah, no idea. Anything else here, Mike?
No. Embarrassing for Carolina. I mean,
yes, this
embarrassing.
Is ridiculous.
We'll see.
Ridiculous.
We'll see how that goes the rest of the year. That
Yep.
They showed some quit today.
Yeah, for sure.
For no reason, by the way. They're 3-0.
That's like quit personified. I don't know if it's just some quit.
Yeah, I mean, for no reason too. I mean, they were 3-0 with like piecing together a quarterback room and a nice little surprise 3-0. And then you just let this happen. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
James Madison 70, North Carolina 50.
I'm ashamed, Carolina. That was awful.
Yeah, that was Ridiculous.
Really good for Joey's anti-UNC agenda.
Yeah.
This particular season, not in general.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, again, neither of us predicted 120 points in this game on the preview, but I'm not surprised that North Carolina has an embarrassing loss somewhere this season. So,
I agree.
For what that's worth.
Let's go to Clemson.
Sure.
59. Clemson 59. NC State 35. A game that was never competitive. Never competitive. It was 21-0 with 5 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And this thing was a wrap. And the weird thing was, like, I thought C.J. Bailey played okay. I didn't watch this live, and I went back and watched a condensed game. Thought he played okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was quick. That's what I would say. This was
the thing.
Really quick.
Like, to me, I mean, NC State's offense was hardly a machine here. But to me, this is more about NC State's defense. And in particular, I mean, I look at the run defense, giving up over 250 yards on the ground. And, I mean, there was a point, I forget if it was in the second quarter or even in the third quarter, where Greg McElroy is basically goes on a rant about how this does not look like the NC State defenses that he knows, in the way that guys are just awful tackling, awful angles to the ball. Like, they can't fit the run. I mean, it's fundamentally, it is not the defense that we've been seeing for the last several years for NC State. And I don't know what to make of that. It's still Dave Doran. It's still Tony Gibson running that unit. But, I mean, I think there's something to that, is like, I don't know that Clemson was doing anything too crazy to where, like, they should be racking up 270 on the ground. Like, NC State just got to tackle.
Well, and this also just snowballed, right? I mean, NC State spent the entire first half on defense. I mean, they went punt, fumble, missed field goal on their first 4 possessions. I mean, the defense was on the field the entire almost the entire first quarter. Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it, in my opinion, right? So, like, for as bad as NC State's defense looked, spent a lot of time on the field early in this game, and I think you started to see that snowball a bit, right, as the game wore on. And Clemson, I think, is just doing a better job running the ball this year. Like, I think that's a big part of it. Like, we can talk about the Cade Klubnik improvement, right? Because I think he's been better as a passer. I think the bigger deal is they're running the ball a lot better. Like, I think the offensive line's playing better. I think Maffa is better than Shipley. I think he's a better, if you want to take them side by side and you think Shipley's a better player, that's fine. But, like, Maffa's a better fit for what they're doing. And there were some shades of that last year, honestly. So I think that's part of it, too. And, yeah, NC State's defense didn't look good here, and fatigue early, and then just looked ugly. And I don't know. Going into it, I think we were all under the impression that NC State, like, the defense would keep them in it for a while. I mean, I picked Clemson to cover on this podcast. It was 20.5 when we previewed. And I got it 18.5, and that cruised, obviously. But, I mean, 20.5 cruised. I mean, it was kind of some late game score stuff.
Yeah,
some late game score stuff.
NC State scores on, like, the second to last play of the game, but
yeah,
you were almost in danger of a backdoor cover situation.
Yeah, a little bit. They called off it was a calling off the dog situation.
Yeah,
but I mean, since that opener, and since that opener, Clemson's now gone 66 against App State, who's terrible, and 59 against NC State, who might be bad. I mean, we mentioned on the preview, I brought this up that I thought NC State's a little bit closer to 6-6, even with an easy schedule, than 9-3 or whatever. And I still feel that way, obviously.
I mean, that's the thing to me about App State is, I mean, you ran up all those points on them. App State just got obliterated by South Alabama, I think, was that on Thursday night? They gave up 48 points to South Al, which that's not the best look. And so it definitely makes me wonder, like, did Clemson really do something special there, or is App State just garbage on defense? And they might be.
I think App's awful.
Yeah.
I think they're, like, awful. I don't think NC State's awful, but this was pretty bad. And they have not looked great. I mean, we've been pretty clear about this the first few weeks, right? We had that one NC State fan that was high and mighty in our mentions in week 1 when NC State was like pulling away from Western Carolina and like covering the spread. And we made the joke like, good for them. And he was like, oh, well, it's 1 week, 1 week. We're like, okay. And then they got obliterated by Tennessee, and they got obliterated today. And I know
come back against Louisiana Tech.
You had to come back against Louisiana Tech. Like, this team's not very good. I don't think NC State's very good.
Yeah.
But to Clemson's credit, they weren't doing this against teams that were not very good. They haven't been doing this.
Right.
In years.
Yeah.
So I do think the offense has improved.
Yeah.
Now we'll see. I mean, we'll see the rest of the way. But like I think Clemson is they're an ACC title contender in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I think they have to be. I mean, especially you look around the rest of the league and
who else, right?
I mean, during the Tech Louisville game, they put up a graphic showing like odds to win the ACC championship.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like Miami, Clemson, Louisville, Boston College, SMU. And I was like, no. Just you could probably just stop after Louisville. Like I don't think, no. So
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, to your point, and definitely credit to Clemson is that this is absolutely a game that in recent years they would screw around in, and they did not today. So good on them.
Yeah, agree. That's all I got.
Yep, same here. Clemson 59, NC State 35.
Let's talk Louisville, Georgia Tech.
Louisville 31, Georgia Tech 19. A game where Louisville wins by 12 in a game where they blocked a field goal and ran it back for a touchdown, and they had a defensive score. Once again, and by the way, there was also a defensive score for Clemson in that game. So, again, continuing this trend of I don't know where all these non-offensive scores came from this week, but
yeah.
So that's kind of a tough loss to swallow here if you're Georgia Tech, and that your defense only gave up 17 points, and to lose this game this way, it sucks. And this was one of the bigger, I'll say, coaching debacles maybe that I've seen under Brent Key with Georgia Tech. I mean, a lot of really questionable, inconsistent decision making. I know they had a drive where they went for it on 4th and 3, and they got it. And then they get down, and it's like 4th and goal from the 1, and they wouldn't go for it. They kicked a field goal, and I just, if you were going for it before, why aren't we going for it now? And
right.
So just there was a lot of stuff. The defensive score for Louisville, Haynes King, I mean, it was a complete like trying to do too much situation. He kind of started to do a keeper, and then he was going to flip it outside. And to be fair, like if that ball had gotten there, they had a chunk play ready for, I think it was Malik Rutherford.
Yeah.
But I think it was Quincy Riley batted it down for Louisville and batted it into the end zone and went over and fell on it, and it was a backwards pass. So that's a fumble in the end zone, touchdown Louisville. So that was ugly and definitely a go ACC moment of the week contender, I thought.
Yeah. They reviewed that for like 5 minutes too. I was like, is this ever like, are they ever going to make a call here? I was just sitting there like I had that game on my secondary screen. I was like, oh my God, like just make the call. I felt like they were in review forever. But my big takeaway is all this crazy stuff happens and Georgia Tech just like could not run the ball.
They couldn't. Louisville couldn't really run it either. Neither team could.
Neither team could. I mean, Louisville worse than Georgia Tech, honestly. But Louisville had the chunk plays in the passing game. Haynes King finishes 21 of 32 for 312. Georgia Tech like found those plays late, but it just felt like Louisville had like more success throwing the football here. It just felt that way. It felt like it was a little bit easier for Louisville. Just the team speed is the takeaway here, right? Because like I thought Georgia Tech was game. It was a game for a while, right? But the Louisville team speed is like where my head's at, because we didn't know a lot about Louisville coming into this, right? I mean, they had 2 walkovers in a bye week.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're playing like a real team now. And the team speed is just there again. And it's like the second year in a row where I'm just like, all right, maybe this is more than just a product of their schedule, right? Like last year, we were talking about Louisville's schedule, how soft it was. What kind of bowl game they're going to go to, how many games they're going to win, because they have a lot of talent and Brom's a good coach. it was kind of something similar, obviously very early in the year, but you play a competent Georgia Tech team, in my opinion, and you looked good. I mean, I thought I came away thinking Louisville looked pretty good, right? And they made some mistakes and they made some errors, and
it was fits and starts a little bit, I think.
Right, but I come away from this thinking like, all right, Louisville's going to go into South Bend next weekend, give Notre Dame a whole bunch of trouble. I think.
I think they're very capable of that.
Yeah, we'll preview that later this week, but I mean, Notre Dame's got no passing game. I mean, they're going to cause some issues there.
It's just a really weird game. Like if you look back at it, Louisville actually only really had the ball 7 times in this game.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech had it like 11 because of multiple, again, defensive special teams debacles, and like it was really strange, just kind of the way that it played out. I was not as impressed with Louisville's offense. I thought they were going to be sharper. They did hit some chunk plays in the passing game. Louisville had some issues with penalties too, and you look at it, it says 7 penalties for 69 yards. Nice. It's not the best. It's not like a terrible afternoon, but it did feel like almost every penalty was like critical, like brought back a big play, like that kind of thing.
Big
I will
first
say,
down, that sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe for the first time I can remember, I do feel like Georgia Tech was like a little bit favored by the officiating in this game. I would bring that up as well. The Louisville fans were not fans of this officiating crew.
No. It ended up not mattering because Louisville got the stop on 4th and goal. But that situation where it looked like they snapped it over Haynes King's head, Mark Ennis was livid. Our friend of the show, Mark Ennis, absolutely livid with that. And I think he had a point. Like, I thought, like the officials basically blew the play dead, and it looked like the ball was like halfway through the air over Haynes King's head, and they blew it dead late. And it ended up not mattering because Louisville got the stop defensively, but there was some weird officiating here, and it's not like a. I agree with you, like it favored Georgia Tech in this particular game, but the officiating in general this year has been garbage. I mean, everybody's talking about how bad it's been, and it's just been not just the ACC, just like across college football, it's been horrible.
Yeah, agreed.
So anyway,
other thing for me here again, Georgia Tech comes up 37 carries for under 100 yards on the ground. They had a awful time running the ball, and it was pretty frustrating because I also felt like this is one of the worst called games I've seen from Buster Faulkner in his year plus now as offensive coordinator. You mentioned the goal line stand that Louisville got. You'll never believe that they ran either a read option or a dive right up the middle. That was the first time that they had done that really the whole game, except for the previous 35 times they did it. So. You never could have seen that coming, but it's
my text to you was like, why are they running like quarterback power on 4th and goal? Which I think it was like botched read option, but I was like, what is I mean, that's what you said anyway. And I was like, okay, maybe it's a good point. And you're like, yeah, that's because that's the only play they have in their playbook for that particular situation.
It seems like
that text. I was like, Joey is pissed.
There was a lot better creativity, I thought, in some of that really like low red zone area last year. And like one of the things I specifically think of is they did some of the stuff where they bring the tight end across the formation, and it almost turned into like an RPO of sorts. Yeah, kind of flip it out there and get some easy touchdowns. But right now it's like we're just going to try to play big bully man ball and try to work it in that way. And if you can't, you can't. And so, and credit to Louisville's defense for standing up to it. And I mean, again, I think this is a pretty decent Georgia Tech run game that Louisville's defense did not let them really get out and do much in this game. There were a couple of longer runs, but for the most part, they were extremely inefficient on the ground.
That's why I like Louisville and South Bend, because I think they can stop Notre Dame's rushing attack. If you do that, they're dead. So that's why I think Louisville's in pretty good shape coming out of this game.
Yep, absolutely.
How do you feel about Georgia Tech? I don't want to drone on and on because I know we're on a time crunch tonight, but like, how are you feeling? Bye week, and then you host Duke, at Carolina, home against Notre Dame.
So I feel really good about the matchup with Duke and the matchup with North Carolina right now.
Yeah.
And I look at the road trip to Virginia Tech. I look at the home game against NC State. I think it's reasonable to think they could win 6 games. I think maybe
I think so,
I think
too.
they beat Duke and Carolina, and I think you probably split Virginia Tech, NC State.
I agree.
So I think they're in decent shape. And honestly, I mean, if you had told me 2 months ago they're going to be 3-2 coming into the bye week, that's kind of what we thought was going to happen, right? I mean, that's
Just
kind of
thought
what we
they'd
had them
lose
pegged
to
for.
Just thought they'd probably lose to Florida. Well, I did anyway. I thought
Yeah.
you called the upset, but I thought they'd lose to Florida State, and then probably be in like 3-2. I have the over win total ticket, Joey, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially if you got it at 4.5. I mean, yeah, I think you're in plenty good shape here.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I'd be curious to see. They might have a shot at knocking off Notre Dame too when they come to town here in a few weeks. But
Wouldn't shock me.
yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, I don't know. This team definitely needs a bye week. I think. I think there's probably something to it that they've played 5 in a row off the jump, and you're playing against a Louisville team that had barely played anybody and was coming off a bye week themselves. Like, pretty unusual situation there. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
And now they have 2 bye weeks in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So
they got the bye week, and then they play 4 in a row, and then after
Yeah.
Virginia Tech, it's bye Miami, bye NC State, Georgia.
weird
So.
schedule.
Very weird. Anyways, Louisville 31, Georgia Tech 19.
Let's just get this out of the way. Rutgers 26, Virginia Tech 23. I'm just annoyed. I mean, this team's annoying. I don't. They started slow. They had they traded 3 and outs, and then Virginia Tech fumbled a punt return to set up Rutgers' first touchdown. Then it was just like ineptitude offensively, and Rutgers scored again. So it's 14-0 going into Q2. Kyron Drones had like the worst. Virginia Tech's backed up into their own end zone in the second quarter, and Kyron Drones had his foot stepped on in the end zone. He held on to the ball too long. First of all, it was late second half. Late second quarter. He had his foot stepped on, and he held on to the ball too long, and pressure's coming because the Virginia Tech offensive line is total ass. And he kind of flipped. He was trying to get rid of it and just like falling backwards. It was like the worst. Ball goes out of the back of the end zone. Like the worst safety I've ever seen outside of like Orlovsky's.
That's
And
another defensive score for those keeping score at home.
yeah, we've got a lot of those, don't we?
I don't know
this
where
is
it's coming
just
from.
annoying.
I don't know.
It's so annoying. I mean, they're just not well coached. And Virginia Tech came storming back in the fourth quarter, tied the game, right, and then promptly, like the defense had been playing well the entire second half, promptly gives up a huge pass play to set up Rutgers like deep in Virginia Tech territory. They kick a field goal, and then Virginia Tech throws a tip ball interception. Just so annoying. They couldn't throw the ball. Bashal Tootin, they just like forgot he existed again, which is becoming a trend. It's like really annoying. Like he 15 for 122 and 3 touchdowns. Maybe just like give him the ball more. I'm so annoyed. I'm just so annoyed. It's just like special team stuff. The starting slow. Like you're in year 3 and you're like obviously doing fantastic in recruiting, like bringing that back in Virginia and like doing a lot of good stuff and like bringing in a lot of good talent. You brought this entire team back that like played really good football the second half of last year, and you go 2-2 in the non-con with losses to Vanderbilt and Rutgers, and Rutgers is a good team. It's not the matter, and I've tweeted this, like it's not the fact that they lost to Rutgers, because I think Rutgers is actually pretty good. It's the fact that like they dug themselves into a hole. This game could have been 30-7, Joey. Like it was 23-7. Like they should have been down 4 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
And that's just like a total system failure. Like in 3 out of the first 4 games last week notwithstanding, they have not played complimentary football at all. It's been horrible. So I'm really annoyed. They got Miami on a short week. They're going to get raw dogged there. And then they, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on this podcast, but I mean, they're going to get destroyed against Miami. And then you have to go to Palo Alto the following Saturday against another well-coached team. This is getting scary fast. I mean, they still have to host Clemson. And I mean, the defensive line is going to, eat this offensive line's lunch. I'm just not feeling good about things. Can they turn it around and I think they'll still make a bowl game and stuff. I'm trying not to overreact, but like, there's a lot of talent that they brought back, and it's been really underwhelming so far with just like how they've started games and like the inconsistency and starting slow. Starting slow in 3 of the first 4 games, just like unconscionable. It's just really annoying. So I said it in the rapid reaction, Joey. This is the price you pay for 2 first-time coordinators, and this is why if you're Pry and you're a first-time head coach, maybe just like go out instead of hiring your buddies. And I complained about this with Fuente. Like maybe hire some people who have like done this before and are like proven like Power 5 coordinators.
Yeah.
And I'm just so frustrated and like at the same time also apathetic.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. I watch these games and I'm just like, okay, they're losing again, and I just like watch whatever other games are on. They like just go to a second or third screen. Like once they fall down a couple scores, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna watch something else. It's just, it's horrible.
Yep.
Really annoying.
A little bit more of a macro thing here, but I am noticing a trend, and I'm trying to work on drawing a line between it. But it does seem like there's a good handful of these teams that we thought were going to be in the top third or so of the ACC that have underwhelmed so far this year. And I'm looking at Virginia Tech, I'm looking at NC State, I'm looking at Florida State. There's a handful of these teams we thought were going to be pretty good, and are like really disappointing right now.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what it is. If it's transfer stuff, I don't know if it's just questionable coaching staffs or coaching hires or what. But there are a couple of these teams. Even SMU a little bit was kind of thought to be potential
for sure,
upper echelon team in the ACC, and
yeah,
they struggled early. So I don't know, but yeah, something I'm noticing, and as you're kind of getting at, I mean, this is not the Virginia Tech team we expected to be seeing. I don't think so. But like it's something that you kind of mentioned again, like the ball more. Why are we throwing the ball? And I guess again, you dug yourself a hole. You're down by a bunch. Like you got to throw it. I understand that, but if it's working, it's working, and you're picking up yards and that kind of thing. So like you can do that.
The thing that was really annoying too is like Virginia Tech gets the ball right. So Stanford, sorry. What ends up happening here is Rutgers kicks that field goal and make it 26-23. And Virginia Tech gets the ball like inside the 2-minute warning. So it's like 2-minute timeout. Don't want to offend anybody. 1:47 to play. Virginia Tech.
Don't get the NFL coming for us on that.
Right. So Virginia Tech gets the ball back with all 3 timeouts, 1:47 to go. Right. So you can run the ball, especially when you've had success with it. And they just started airing it out. And they had the tip ball interception, and they like Tootin didn't touch the ball in the final possession. And like you could have run the ball there a little bit. Like with all 3 timeouts at your disposal, like get the ball in Tootin's hands and give them a little something else to look at, because they're expecting the pass there. Like you're starting at starting at your 25-yard line, like they're expecting you to throw. But I mean, Tootin was averaging 9 yards per carry in the first half, and finished with that. I mean, I ran off the stats. He had 3 scores. I mean, really frustrating. Anyway.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely a frustrating loss, at home in a game that I think, from the preview, you kind of expected them to win, and it sucks when they don't get that done. That's an opportunity missed. So I don't have anything else here unless you do.
No. Good.
Rutgers 26, Virginia Tech 23.
Let's look at the game I was already starting to look at. Stanford 26, Syracuse 24. Man, Syracuse.
This feels like a missed opportunity in a big way.
This feels like a missed opportunity. And look, I will see that like Syracuse played better in the second half here, but this just feels like an opportunity missed. I mean, the Stanford team's not that good, right? And there was some weird stuff going on here for sure. We already talked about like the Alec Iamaner stuff, where like he had like the catch of the year in the first half. He had the touchdown late. I mean, but this was 13-10 Stanford early second half. Syracuse throws the pick 6, and it's 20-10. And there was some of that going on with McCord in this game that we hadn't really seen the first few weeks. And I mean, he had 2 interceptions in 3 possessions, right? He split it. Yeah, he had the touchdown there in between. But it just felt like every time Syracuse got some momentum, they just did something really, really stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like that the entire game. So really frustrating. And the thing that was, I think if you're a Syracuse fan, that really annoys you is the Io Maynor like one-on-one coverage late in this game, right? It's like, man, why are you playing like cover 1, cover 0 with an NFL receiver on the outside who's like their only passing threat? Just some weird coaching here from Syracuse, and some mistakes from McCord that are a little bit uncharacteristic because he wasn't making these types of mistakes even at Ohio State last year. So just some uncharacteristic stuff here too.
Yeah. Syracuse had a brutal time trying to run the ball here. LaQuint Allen, 8 carries for 25 yards. Like, Yassine Willis, 4 for 9. Like, combined, the whole team, and you include, sacks and whatever on McCord, 17 for 26 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's pretty tough to swallow. And then, as mentioned, Kyle McCord has throws a pick 6 in this game in the third quarter. That's another defensive score, by the way, for those keeping track. And just, again, this is a game where things were not going very well, and to then give the ball up like that and give basically a free touchdown to Stanford on that's pretty tough to overcome. So this was not a particularly clean effort from Syracuse in this game, and I'm honestly kind of surprised. Like, I really thought coming off a bye week, and you're riding high off a conference win a couple weeks ago, all that stuff. I really kind of thought Syracuse would be better here, so it was kind of disappointing to me that they were not. Worth mentioning, I mean, Syracuse did have the lead with 5 seconds left. Stanford hits a field goal as time expires, so that's how they win this game. But again, it feels like there are a lot of points left out there, and to have given up a free touchdown in there as well in a game that you lost by 2, like, a little tough.
Yeah, surprisingly flat from Syracuse.
Yep. So that's all I got on that. Anything else here, Mike?
No, just I'm more disappointed with Syracuse. Stanford's just well coached, so I mean they're going to come ready to play, which I think makes them a dangerous out in a lot of ACC games this year. So just something to keep an eye on.
Yep, for sure. Stanford 26, Syracuse 24. We might be able to roll pretty quickly through the rest of these. I don't think many of them were all that.
I think the one Boston College, Michigan State is the only one I think I really need to get into in detail because I mean Florida State, Cal, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Boston College 23, Michigan State 19. This was really. I mentioned this. The weather was horrible. Boston College. I mean, you talked about the missed opportunities. Aiden Childs threw 3 interceptions here, and BC just like simply could not capitalize, really at all here. I think if you're a Boston College fan, you're feeling really fortunate you came away with this win, which Joey, you really mentioned. I mean, Boston College. I'm looking at. I mean, Childs had the interception at the end, but BC scored the 1 touchdown to take the lead, 16-13, early second half. That was the second interception that Childs threw. But you only had 7 points off of those 3 interceptions, right? And obviously one of them was at the end, right? Ended the game. They're trying to score late. But yeah, I think if you're BC, you're a little frustrated with that. You have to be frustrated just looking at the stats and just kind of how the game progressed. It was kind of this like uneven passing effort by Castellanos. Like he looked good at times, then he looked awful at times. And then I mentioned the rushing attack. BC could not run the ball unless it was Castellanos. Like they were really Turbo Richard. Great name.
Turbo
10 for 40.
French?
I don't know. Could be 10 for 46, and he was like their second leading rusher to Castellanos. I mean, they really, and Castellanos balled out, but like they really had nothing outside of him here. And I think you're really fortunate to come out on the other side of this.
Boston College came out and looked really good after halftime. I mean, they came out, got a field goal to start, quickly forced a turnover, one of those Childs interceptions, get a quick touchdown on the next play. Like, that's all great. And then there were 2 possessions here that really kind of bothered me. So the first one, they go 5 plays, 40 yards, and they punted from the Michigan State 35-yard line. And I guess I kind of understand.
Yep.
I understand you're in the rain and it's 4th and 10 and you probably don't want to kick a field goal from there. But I just there is something that just deep in my core bothers me about punting from the plus 35.
And I texted you back and I just said they lack respect for Michigan State. Like they do not think this offense is going to do anything. To Bill O'Brien's credit, he was correct.
Yeah.
Right? He was correct. Look, BC, they won the middle 8. I love talking about the middle 8 because it's so important. I mean, you win the middle 8 10-3 in a game you win by 4. Ball game.
Yeah.
That's it. You won the middle 8 in an ugly rain-soaked game.
Mm-hmm.
Red bandana game, baby.
That's right.
So
by the way, the punt was the first drive. The second drive was the one after that. They go 12 plays, 57 yards. They went for it on 4th and goal from the 1 and just got stuffed.
Yep.
So a couple things here where it just felt like Boston College left a good number of points on the board here. And again, a game that they won by 4. Definitely not bitter about having locked up 6.5 here with Boston College, but just saying, it could have definitely been worse here. This could have been a much easier game, I think, as it all played out. But
yeah,
unfortunately not. But either way, Boston College gets the win. They're 3-1. That's things going pretty swimmingly so far under Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, they're going pretty well. And you mentioned that turnover on downs. It looked like BC fumbled there. It was total chaos. There was like 3 or 4 games going on. A couple fumbles happened simultaneously. The Florida State Cal game was going down to a wire, and there was some chaos there too. We were texting, and it was a mess. But a really nice win for Boston College here is all I will say. And you mentioned your pick, Joey, and I won't rub in the fact that I went 3-0 on my locks this week. I won't say anything about that other than right now. Yeah, I was due. I was really due.
Well, I was definitely not planning on bringing up that I went 0-2 in locks. So,
Well, yeah, there was a point in the second half of some of these games tonight where I was like, wow, we're going to go 5-0 in locks this week. And then some stuff started going sideways on you. So,
yeah. Yep. Georgia Tech couldn't punch it in on the goal line. And Louisville, and had a field goal blocked. And, just all sorts of stuff on that under. Or on the, that over. 57.5 in that game too. So
yeah,
real fun week at the window for me.
Yeah.
Anyways, Boston College 23, Michigan State 19.
We're gonna start flying through these in an effort to get you to bed. Deal?
Yeah.
Florida State 14, Cal 9. This was just real ugly for Cal's offense. That's my big takeaway here. I thought Florida State's defense played their best game of the year. Granted, this was probably the worst offense they've played so far, but this was also Cal's worst offensive performance this year. So it's like a catch-22 because I think Cal's offense has been kind of a mixed bag. They really got after Fernando Mendoza here.
Mm-hmm.
He threw for a little over 300 yards, had the interception, but they really, really got after him. 7 sacks. Just bludgeoned Cal up front here. Cal had a really, really hard time running it. Jade Knott, 16 for 73, which, pretty good, right? But, they really had a hard time running it, and no consistency in the passing game just because of how they were getting after Mendoza. So that was my really big takeaway, big ups to Florida State's defense here. But, Cal just didn't really have too much to offer up front against Florida State's defensive line, which, to Florida State's credit, that defensive line hasn't looked like that all year, and it was supposed to kind of look more like it did tonight in the other games this year, and it really hadn't. So I thought this was Florida State's best defensive game.
Yep. Yeah. No, agreed. And this is a game too, by the way, where Cal outgained Florida State by over 100 yards. There was no real difference in turnovers or time of possession. This one feels a little. If you're Cal, this feels a little bit like one that got away. The fact that they just could not get into the end zone here. They had a couple of missed field goals. They really struggled to finish drives. And so that's a good way to lose a game, honestly, is to struggle to actually score when you get to that part of the field.
Yeah, you can't go 3 of 5 kicking field goals and then just like simply not score touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
You make those 2 field goals, you win the game.
Definitely still concerned about Florida State's offense here. That was not you won, but you still only scored 14 points, and that was not a particularly clean performance here.
No, it wasn't. I mean, short of that second drive of the game for Florida State where they marched right up the field, and that obviously that great touchdown pass that DJU threw, maybe one of the best passes he's thrown in a while.
Yeah, like since high school.
Since high school. The disrespect.
Florida State
Big
14,
Dave.
Cal 9.
Big Dave or whatever his name is going to come after you.
Big Dave, our guy.
We haven't heard from him in a while. Wonder why.
Yeah, can't imagine.
Can't imagine why. I mean, pick your blowout. We have several.
Number 8, Miami 50, South Florida 15, and biggest, most interesting thing to this to me was like really weird numbers on the scoreboard. Like it was 20-15 halftime. Just a lot of like shenanigans with. I think there was a extra point that got missed, and then somebody went for 2, and you just started getting into some really strange numbers to see on a football scoreboard. But as mentioned before, I mean, I don't have a whole lot here. We got into the second half, and Miami was able to really pull away. Cam Ward, very sharp, especially in the second half.
He's so good.
400 yards, 3 scores through the air. I mean, when they've got that thing working, they look like the best team in the ACC to me so far.
Yeah, I think they are the best team in the ACC. And Cam Ward, I think it's September, but I think we might be seeing him in New York. Like he's been sick. Miami could not really run the ball here. Like I know their numbers look pretty good, but like Jordan Lyle had 91-yard touchdown run. So that helped. That helped a lot. I mean, that was half of their rushing yards. They rushed for 188. So
yeah, the other
just
28 carries went for under 100 yards.
And I think that's just a testament to South Florida. Like they've done a pretty good job this year against the run, and they're well coached, and they were game for sure. And so just something modern, right? Like Miami really struggled to run it, but Cam Ward just like kicked it into high gear. He made some ridiculous throws in this game. I mean, couple touchdown throws are crazy. He made a couple passes over the middle, like across his body, that were nuts. I mean, Miami has not had a quarterback like this in a really, really long time. Like, I'm kind of racking my brain to think of the last quarterback they had that was this good.
You might have to go back to the
Dorsey?
Larry Coker or Butch Davis years. Like,
yeah, we talking like Ken Dorsey?
Might be, honestly.
I mean, Ward's better than Kaya. He's certainly better than like Ja'Cory Harris. I'm just thinking like quarterbacks they've had in like the last 10, 15 years. Like,
yeah,
he's better than
Not
all
even
of them by
close.
like a lot. And like Kaya was there 4 years, and like he boat races him. I don't know. Like they're anyway.
Miami 50, South Florida 15. By the way, Miami scores. They had the ball 4 times. Well, let's say they had the ball 5 times after halftime.
Yeah.
Drive chart: touchdown, 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 touchdown. End of game.
Yeah.
Hard
Pretty
to do a
good.
whole lot better than that.
Yeah.
So
Virginia 43, Coastal 24. Good for you, Virginia. From the outset,
just taking care of business.
took care of business. Covered the 3.5. They look good. Virginia looked good. We got a good Castellanos game, which goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
Got a good
Or you mean,
Castellanos game.
Calandria.
Oh, God, Calandria. Sorry, good Calandria game. Yeah, I mean, took care of the football. Nothing too crazy, right? I mean, we talked about all of Calandria's issues last week, where he was turning the ball over and making some bonehead decisions against Maryland. Played well here, ran the ball well. Xavier Brown 9 for 171. Yeah, that'll work. Yes, he had a 75-yard run in there, but then okay, that's fine. So he had like 8 for 96, 95, 96. Okay, like pretty good.
That'll do.
Pretty good. Yeah, so they ran the ball well here. Coastal had a bunch of trouble. I don't I don't know, man. They jumped out that early lead, and I was like, all right, let's watch something else.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad Coastal team either. Like, I mean, they were 3-0 coming into this game. Like, that's, you thought they'd be pretty game here, and Virginia just wasn't having it. I mean, it was 27-10 at halftime, and just keep it moving. Like you said, I mean, it's really complete, easy performance here from Virginia.
And this puts you, like, more importantly, like, this puts you in the mix for a bowl game, because I know Virginia's schedule is pretty tough second half of the year, but, like, if you get this level of performance in the running game and you get, you start to stack, like, good Calandria performances, I think, getting to a bowl game would be a pretty big deal considering where they were at coming into the season. Because, like you mentioned, I mean, I think Coastal's going to be in the mix in the Sun Belt. Like, I don't think they're that bad of a team. Like, like you mentioned, 3-0 coming in. Sun Belt's pretty wide open. They're going to be in the mix, I think.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Virginia 43, Coastal Carolina 24. You want to do the Iron Skillet?
yeah, let's do it because that's like the only game I watched out of the next three. So
Yeah. SMU 66, TCU 42. Again, I think SMU had 3 defensive scores in this game.
Yeah.
You had 2 fumble return, or a punt return, a fumble return, and an interception return, all for a touchdown, all in the first half. They were up 41-21 at halftime. You mentioned Sonny Dykes, former SMU head coach, now TCU head coach, gets thrown out of the game, basically coming out of halftime. Pretty wild rivalry game. Hard to put up 66 points when you only have like 400 yards, under 400 yards of offense. But 3 defensive and special team scores will do that for you.
we mentioned on the preview that SMU like never wins this game. It was like 13 out of the last 15 the TCU's won. You add in the Sonny Dykes effect, which SMU harbors a lot of feelings about that. But if I'm Sonny Dykes, like at the time I'm going from an American team to a Big 12 team. Okay. Like what are you really gonna harbor a bunch of ill will?
Yeah.
I guess you are, but anyway, the SMU faithful was really happy to see Sonny Dykes get ejected. I'll tell you that. They were kind of waving at him as he was leaving the stadium. The tough part for TCU here is that they had the fumble return and the punt return touchdown on consecutive possessions. So
Yeah.
it went from 3-0 to 17-0, like really, really fast. And then
Like
just
a minute
snowballed
of
from
game
there.
time. Yeah.
Snowballed from there, right? Yeah, just really strong performance here from SMU. Offense
SMU
was
ran
rolling.
the hell out of the ball in this game, by the way.
They did, which, I mean, does explain some stuff, right, with the Kevin Jennings stuff, like the switch at quarterback, because he is going to be a more capable runner, and he gives you that option, that 11th hat to defend, right? And
Yep.
yeah, he was good here. I mean, didn't have to throw. I mean, he threw it only 19 times, and yeah, they cruised right along.
I muted myself and then I unmuted myself like right before sneezing. Sorry about
I was
that.
talking. It worked perfectly. I covered it for you.
Yeah, I don't have a lot else. Really impressive performance here from from SMU to get a big win in this rivalry series and be able to put up that number on the scoreboard that they did. And as you said, Mike, look what happens when you just pick a quarterback and you just go with it instead of trying to do this flip-floppy thing with different styles of quarterbacks and stuff. Like maybe SMU found something here. Got to consider it.
Maybe, and if they're in the mix, because they have a very favorable schedule, if they're in the mix in the ACC at the end of the year, I think we'll kind of circle this game as the one where they like kind of circled the wagons and hit the gas a little bit. So
Turn a corner a little bit. Yep.
yeah, so I mean, just keep an eye on them in the ACC.
Yep. SMU 66, TCU 42.
Pitt 73, Youngstown 17. The only thing I want to say about this is that Pitt, you did it. You did it.
Congrats, Pitt.
4-0 in the non-con. You did it officially.
Got it done. Eli Stein just like loaded up the stat sheet here with 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. Pitt just like never even messed around with this. I mean, they were up 42-10 at halftime. So
Yeah.
Again, nice stress-free afternoon there at Acrisure Stadium, and shout out to the Panthers.
The best news for Youngstown State and for Pittsburgh especially is that we didn't lead off the podcast by talking about this game. So
Right. Right.
It's good
we
news
got
for
to
Pitt.
wait until an hour and 5 in.
That means
So.
it went well.
Yep. Shout out to the Panthers. We have one more here. Duke 45, Middle Tennessee 17. Again, a game like this could have a bit of a dangerous spot, I think, for Duke.
Yeah.
But the fact that it wasn't, you just went in there and took care of business. I mean, that's a good sign, I think, for this program.
Yeah, full disclosure, did not watch this, but saw they were in a weather delay. Saw it was out of hand.
Yeah.
Duke ran it well. Malik Murphy, 3 touchdowns. You saw more of this than I did, and that was by accident. So,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just good stuff from Duke here. They scored 28 points in the first quarter, which
yeah.
that's a pretty hot start. And so, yeah, I don't have a whole lot here. This is a game that, again, you could have let get squirrely, and they definitely did not. So, good stuff for the Blue Devils.
I'm happy for Manny Diaz. You know?
Yeah.
He got jobbed at Miami, man. So, I'm just happy he's off to his start.
Agreed. He deserves good things here. Like,
Yeah.
there are some out there that do not deserve good things. I don't think Colorado deserves good things right now, but Manny Diaz,
Dude,
he does.
Don't even get me started. I mean, we want to get through this timely. I'm really irritated about that Colorado-Baylor game.
I was as well.
Yeah.
I'm not a Baylor fan in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But
I'm pretty anti-Colorado, so
yeah,
I'm pro Travis Hunter. I'm anti everything else.
yeah. The word that came to my mind was obnoxious. So not fun watching them win.
Yeah, I got to interview Travis Hunter with SI for the college football video game like over the summer, and
Yep.
he is a really, really good dude. Like just I think he realizes how good he is at football, but he's like not that kind of guy, like not the kind of personality. Like really good dude. But the rest of Colorado, I'm like, yeah,
Swanee, Georgia.
yeah, kind of from your neck of the woods, right?
You could say that. Yep.
Yeah,
I got a piece of paper somewhere in a closet or something around this house that's from Collins Hill High School in Swanee, Georgia.
familiar.
I did graduate high school, I promise.
So
Because I know that was in doubt at some point, right?
I was concerned about that. Wasn't a podcast. That was a prereq. It was that you graduated high school before.
Right. Yeah. When you interviewed me to be a podcast partner, that was the first thing you asked was, "Are you a high school graduate?" And I was able to honestly say yes.
Now, if people listen to our first podcast and heard us underwater, they were like, "Are you sure you graduated high school?" You absolutely sure?
Yeah. We graduated high school back when they were using like I don't know.
A quill.
What's
and
an
ink?
old computer?
Oh, okay. Wow.
Windows 95.
Quill and ink.
Yeah. That works too. Yeah. Quill and ink. There you go. Mike, anything else before we get to awards?
Let's do it. Let's get. Well, I mean, good for Bowling Green, but we mentioned that in the Rapid React, so got nothing else there.
Yep. Good on them to keep that one competitive for sure. Let me find it. Here we go. And here we go. The Go ACC moment of the week, Mike. I know I definitely wanted to go with Haynes King trying to throw like a doing too much swing pass and it gets knocked down for a touchdown. I mean, just a what the hell is this kind of moment. Did you have any nominees?
Yeah, Kyron Drones on the safety. Like, just basically lugging it out of the back of the end zone. Just
that was another thing that happened in the Tech Louisville game was Tyler. So Tech got stuffed on the goal line at one point. Louisville had the ball in like the 1. Tyler Shuck takes the snap, I think from under center, tries to kind of do a rollout, and his foot just got tangled up with his running back and trips, falls, safety. And that was an honorable mention for me.
Yeah, tough.
The Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award.
I mean, it has to go to. Well, there are a few different candidates, right?
North Carolina's defense seems like a major candidate.
I think the winner is North Carolina's defense. I think you can go with Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech special teams efforts on Saturday. Really ugly.
Yeah.
Becoming a little bit of a trend. those two are options.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is Sonny Dykes arguing with the officials, which I know he's not in the ACC, but he played an ACC game, right? So
yeah, I'll allow that.
it'll play. We've done that before.
Yeah.
So you tried to argue with the officials appropriately? Couldn't do it?
TCU, this is what you get playing on the CW, is you get to be on the Basketball Conference Podcast Awards. I am sick and I need to go to bed.
Yeah, I know. You're not drinking tonight is your problem.
Words are not coming to me like they normally would. So, anyways, yes, yeah, we can give it to Sonny Dykes. That works for me for Brian Bingorder Memorial. You tried.
Yeah, that's good.
The Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week Award. We could definitely go to the Georgia Tech run game.
I was going to say, I mean, we have several candidates in the run game. We got the Georgia Tech run game. We have the Cal run game.
Yep.
We have the Boston College run game outside Castellanos.
Yeah.
It was really bad. A lot of candidates here.
Several teams that did a lot of trying and not a lot of actually doing in the run game this week for the old ACC.
And NC State's another one.
Yeah.
Because outside of Kendrick Raphael's 40-yard run, they did nothing. He had 10 for 90, but if you take the 40-yard run out, he had 9 for 50, which not great.
Yeah.
So,
not great. Not great. So to that we say, Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe.
Anything else that you need to hand out, Mike?
Oh yeah, I mean the You Died Award goes to North Carolina. Queen Elizabeth II Memorial You Died Award.
Arguably the entire state of North Carolina, although it was, Duke
yeah.
not included in that, and Wake was on a bye. So
yeah, Wake won the bye week. Yeah, NC State and North Carolina just get the You Died Award. It's a collective You Died Award.
Mm-hmm.
Quick math, they got outscored 0 carry to 1, 90 to 4. Yeah, 90 to 54.
Wait,
right?
what? Carolina?
Oh,
NC State?
I'm sorry. I looked the wrong side. I looked the wrong way. I looked Georgia Tech Louisville. They got outscored. Sorry, this is even worse. They got outscored. Let's see, NC State.
I got 129 to
129
85.
to 85. Yep. Yeah. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
That's a whole lot of blowout.
And it's a whole lot of Carolina making it look good, like lipstick on a pig situation when it was already really, really bad. So
not good.
No.
Not very good. Team of the week, Mike. Couple of candidates here.
I mean, I like Virginia. It's a short favorite. I think they're a candidate. SMU, really impressive.
Yeah.
Almost feel like I got to give it to Stanford.
So don't forget about Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford on Friday night.
Yeah, a couple of these teams had really good wins for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at SMU. I was looking at Stanford. A couple of those newcomers had big games this weekend, so good on them. Can I sarcastically give it to Florida State for getting in the win column?
I was thinking about it, so yes, right up our alley.
Fair enough.
Player of the week?
All right. Player of the week?
Yeah. I mean, mine is Alec Ayominer because 7 for 87 and a touchdown. While the stats don't jump off the page, the one-handed touchdown catch and then the catch he had on the final possession to set up the game-winning field goal. I mean, two of the most monumental catches of the entire weekend. So even though his stat line doesn't absolutely blow you away, that's my player of the week. I mean, he was arguably the most impactful.
Yeah. Ja'Cory Brooks also had a really big day for Louisville. Only 4 catches, but for 105 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
The touchdown was actually on a play where he was interfered with and got did a full 360 spin, and then kind of regained his balance and found the ball in the air and scored. It was wild watching it in real time. I couldn't believe he caught the ball. But that was an impressive play, and he had big contributions to Louisville getting that win. Otherwise, I mean, again, Eli Holstein had a big day and an easy spot for them. But Trayshawn Ward also busts out 100 tough yards for Boston College in the win of the Red Bandana game. So shout out to him as well.
Yeah, and Klubnik had 5 touchdowns, I think. 4. I'm sorry, 4 total.
Yeah.
Yeah, he rolled. So.
Yep. Week 4. That's all I got, Mike. Anything else? Well, we talk about week 4.
No, I think we're good. Really frustrated with Virginia Tech.
Yep.
You're frustrated with Georgia Tech. So we come out this weekend very irritated.
Yep, love that. Remember we were excited that college football was back, and now we're just like pissed. It's great.
This is like right up. Yeah, I mean, this is right up our alley. So
Yeah,
nothing we haven't seen before.
that's right. We move on to week 5. Mike, we got 9 games next week. One on Friday night as your Hokies are in South Beach or Miami Gardens or Coral Gables or wherever, taking on the number 8 Miami Hurricanes. So we'll do that, preview that game. And then we got 8 on Saturday. Louisville at Notre Dame is going to be a big game. That's on Peacock. So make sure you got a subscription to that if you want to watch that.
That's going to be really annoying.
What's
going to be more annoying?
I'm already annoyed.
You know what's going to be really annoying about that? My parents are going to be like, I can't get the ND game. Can you hook me up with Peacock? Yeah, I can. I'm going to have to get on the phone and like walk them through it. So that's going to be but through no fault of my parents' own, right? It's just like, I blame this on NBC.
Yeah. You might want to start that process on like Thursday just to be safe.
just give enough leeway.
Just to make sure. Sure.
Just by 3:29, they're logged in.
We also have the Huskies of Northern Illinois taking on the Wolfpack of NC State, meaning one of these dog mascot teams is going to be CW underdogs.
Dude, speaking of which, Northern Illinois, RIP.
Crap the bed against Buffalo.
Lost to Buffalo today. Yeah. So that came back down to earth after the bye week.
Not great.
No.
Mike, we'll come back, preview those games. What we've been doing lately has been a lot of Wednesday night, get on here live, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. So come join us there. We'll be live. You can join us in the chat as we talk about those games and make picks. And you can tell us what we had a comment on Twitter today that said that fading our picks is guaranteed get rich quick scheme.
That was mine and yours, which I went 3-0 this week. So that guy in the mentions can suck it. That's how I feel about that.
Mike went undefeated this week, so suck it. Like
undefeated, and if you follow me on Twitter, I had a winning day at the window as well with bets I put my money on. So
there you go. That's all you can ask for.
That's all you can ask for. This slate, I mean, we'll make the best of it, is what I will say. Joey and I will make the best of it on the preview. But full disclosure, outside of like Louisville, Notre Dame, this slate is especially a Saturday slate, total ass.
It's a little thin.
A little thin on not only matchups but like decent games.
Yeah. But we will come back and talk about them.
We will. We'll be
one of them. We have to. Those are the rules. All right, Mike, let's get out of here. We will come back Wednesday night and preview these games, or maybe Thursday or something. We'll keep an eye on the socials. If something changes, we'll let you know.
Yep.
In the meantime, you can find us on Twitter at FTRSJoey, at Mike McDaniel SI, together at BC Podcast ACC. And once again, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the bell icon. We would really, really appreciate that. Thank you all so much for your support, the people that have been doing that. And shout out to the folks that have been in the comments tonight. Again, we had some new folks joining us, so we really appreciate the community that y'all are helping us build here. We got Dave Brown, Louisville fan, has been in here with us. Lee Nobody just joined from Paris. So he's over, I believe, like the French Paris. There's Paris, Texas, but it's not 7:30 in Paris, Texas right now. The John J. Balanovich law offices are with us as well. So, doing some light legal work, I guess, in the middle of the night and hanging out for the podcast. I love it. Thank you all so much for your support and for coming and hanging out with us here late at night as we recapped week 4. Mike, where else are we in the social medias?
Facebook.com/basketball conference review. Find all of our podcasts there, or at least some of them. Mm-hmm. You plug the YouTube, so we're good there. One thing I want to mention, new sponsor, Roback. Go ACC 20. Check out Roback.com. Get 20% off your first order. They're new as of like 4 days ago, so do sponsor the show. Go check them out. Go ACC at checkout for home field apparel, 15% off your first order. And we've already plugged Section 103. Shout out to them. Go ACC at checkout for 10% off your first order.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Steven.
Absolutely. Mike, I think that's all I got. Anything else?
We will talk later this week.
We will. We'll preview week 5. That's our job. That's what we got to do. So join us then. We'll talk then.
Yep.
All right. For that guy, Mr. Mike McDaniel, for producer Scott, I am Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will talk to you again very, very soon about week 5. Until then, go ACC.